We're here to prove that there are more than 6 ways you can roll a die. Welcome to Tabletop Shop.
Hello and welcome back to the Tabletop Shop podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Nate Clark, and as always, seated somewhat across the country from me is your other co-host, Mr. Cody Pennington.
I've been going with halfway across the region because I feel like we're technically in the same region-ish.
Are we talking about regions like South, Midwest, West, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm Kentucky and you're West Virginia now, so...
I don't know.
What is West Virginia? What region
I think it might be
it?
South, technically.
Is it really?
I do not know. What is Kentucky, technically?
Kentucky is weird. I think it's officially, technically part of the South, but it has strong Midwest influences, particularly in the North.
Okay, I'm looking at a map that has Kentucky as Midwest and has West Virginia as something I have not heard, Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic.
Yes.
I'm seeing that now too, but it's also saying the Appalachian region.
I have not heard that before, but that does make sense. But I also see on other maps, I'm seeing West Virginia as part of the South Atlantic or the Southeast. So it's definitely in a gray area, and it's right next to Kentucky. So
I'm looking at a picture that just has the U.S. broken into regions, and it's putting Kentucky and West Virginia right at the north of the Southeast region. How do you feel about that?
we're the north of the Southeast. We're actually really close to each other, though. I mean, we're neighboring states now.
So in that case, across the region also doesn't really even apply because we're next to each other. So what do we say? Across the interstate.
This is a board game podcast, right?
Well, a lot has happened, dude. It's episode 61. We left off on 60 more than 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. And here we are. We're back, baby. This feels good. Does this feel good to you?
We just can't stop. I mean, I think we both enjoy doing this quite a bit. And I don't know if it was fatigue or if it was just life busyness where we were like, let's take a break and step away for a while. But it is a lot of fun to come back.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a lot of fun doing Let's Fail with Gloomhaven. And we're gonna keep that up, right? So we're alternating now, this one week and this the other, well, every other week.
Yeah, so the plan will be to still release content every other week, and it will just alternate between our typical podcast episodes like this one, and then our other episodes will continue to be those Gloomhaven Let's Fails, which are on the Tabletop Shop YouTube channel. So if you want to go see us occasionally win and occasionally lose at Gloomhaven Digital, go hit us up over there.
I think that we've won more often than we've lost so far.
It's probably like 2/3. Probably like 2/3.
Yeah.
I would think.
That's a pretty good ratio, but it also does not make the title work since it's Let's Fail, not Let's Succeed.
But failing really sucks, man. It's really disappointing when you fail. Like
it is
in this game. So,
but it has that magic. There's been like 2 times now where we won on the last possible turn, and it was beautiful.
Yes, one time on accident.
By default.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
a pity.
Cody, intro question for you.
Oh, dude, I forgot that we do intro questions. Yeah, hit
All
me.
right. Our most recent episode number 60, was the top 5 games that we want to play. I'm here to ask you, first of all, if you even remember the games you put on that list. And I'm wondering if you've played any of them.
I deleted them off of this doc that I'm looking at right now because I always use the same planning doc to like put down my notes. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to remember what was on there.
Can
I'm
you
pretty
remember?
sure Twilight Imperium was on there.
You're correct.
So
I went back to the episode and found them. I was just wondering how many you can remember.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. I know Twilight Imperium was there. I think the Anarchy was there. and I've not played that one either.
Of the 3 you can't remember, do you think you played any of them?
I'm wondering if I can just hit Control Z a whole bunch of times on my document and refill it.
And hope you don't lose all of your... All right, Cody.
Info.
Here were the 5 games.
No, go for it. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure I played none, though.
Finspan was one of them. I don't think you've
Nope.
played that yet. Twilight Imperium,
Nope.
that's correct. The Anarchy, also. Quacks the Duel. I don't think you've played that because I don't think you can get it in North America.
It's still not in English.
And last but not least, Arborea was your number 5.
So I did play one.
You did play one, man.
Hey. Wow. So that was because you put that on my radar many moons ago. And then we played it in the old sock factory in West Virginia.
That's correct.
Yep.
And we need to play it again. So we should do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, in a couple months, we'll probably come visit the old sock factory and I'll bring it. Or no, you have
Arborea?
it. No,
You
I
have
just
it,
bought
Cody.
it.
Yeah, you better
You
bring
don't
it.
own it, right? Okay, sure.
Well, speaking of which, Cody, have you been playing anything recently of note? I know it's been 6 months.
Yes,
but
Nate. That's a great question. I've played many games. Let's see. So we said our last episode was in May. I don't actually have this number, but I was glancing at my plays to see if I could figure out how many games I've played since then, or new games. Unfortunately, I don't track when I first have played a game.
Yeah.
I'll keep track of what year it was. Maybe I should start putting the month. That'd actually probably be a good idea.
Stats.
Let's see. Did you teach us vegetable stock? I think you
Yes. Yeah.
did. Wow, so I did not play many new games at all the first half of the year. But it looks like... Okay, your stats are much cooler than mine. I've played, so far, 36 new games this year. I'm sure you're well over 100 for you, right?
Yeah. Just barely. New games this year, I'm at 106.
Okay. Well, for mine, more than 2/3 of those were all new. So I have a big pool to pick from, but one came to mind that I sort of just bought on a whim like a month ago, and I've been very pleasantly surprised, and I probably played it like 5 or 6 times at this point. This is a newfangled game that has some nice artwork with some cute little critters
Is this
and some odd artwork as well.
Harmonies?
It is Harmonies,
Oh.
rank 64.
Dude,
This
that
is in the
shot
top
up.
100.
Yeah, that's crazy because
It
it's really
did
pretty
shoot up.
recent.
It's ranked number 2 for abstract games as well. What is the first one then, is the question.
Not a lot of abstracts in the top 100.
Yeah, can you guess what number 1 is?
Number 1.
It's very similar to this game, or some would say. I think this game is... I think Harmonies is much better.
Cascadia?
Cascadia is number 1.
Man, abstract is a real vague term, you know? Like everything's
Yeah, you
abstract.
say-
It's all like ported from reality. So none of it's like not abstract, but
Yeah, like if you say abstract game, I'm not thinking of Cascadia. Like
When somebody-
to me, abstract is it has no meaningful connection to reality.
yeah,
Right?
which of course is subjective. But I mean, when I think abstract, I think it does not have a theme. And that I think that definition is probably starting to change because we're getting more games that are like chess but themed, you know? So like something like War Chest or Onitama, like these are obviously abstracts, but they also have a, you know, like somewhat of theme to go with it. It's not like, you know, chess or checkers or something. So it's definitely starting to get kind of fuzzy about like what qualifies as abstract and what doesn't, you know?
Yeah, well, like they have Azul listed as the 3rd best abstract game. But the point of Azul is you're literally tiling like walls. So, I mean, I know you're going about it in an abstract way, but you're still making little designs.
Yeah, I
don't know.
I just think it's really subjective now, you know?
Everything's subjective, man. Nothing is real. It's all about what you feel.
I think Harmonies is all right.
Yeah?
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I don't love it. Probably I prefer Cascadia over it, but also I think they're different. They're definitely different enough that you could that they're both keepers, in my opinion.
They are.
So,
Yeah, I have a certain sweet spot in my heart now for games that I feel play quickly, don't hurt your brain too much, but have a nice level of strategy in them. So for me, that's like Seven Wonders Duel is like a perfect example. It's the heavy light game, and Harmonies is one that like really scratches that itch for me.
well then,
I guess if people haven't played, no, we talk about games when we get into our top fives. You can look up Harmonies if you want. I don't care.
well, you may be somewhat interested in my pick for a recent play, although it's kind of a hand shedding. It's not a trick taking game, but it's a hand shedding game that probably is not great with two players. But this is
Hand shedding game.
yeah. So like think like Scout. Like Scout isn't a trick taker. It's ladder climbing hand shedding. So it's hand shedding in that you're just trying to get rid of all your cards, and it's ladder climbing in the sense that you're like constantly trying to one up the previous cards that were played. But there's no like tricks, because a trick is like everyone puts a card in, you resolve it, and then you do another round. So, but this is John Declare's Ruins. This is a 2025 release because there's a few different games called Ruins. And this one's interesting. Kind of the gimmick in this one, or the hook, is something that he does occasionally with his games, which is he does this card crafting thing where the card is in a sleeve, but then there's these other somewhat translucent cards that you can slip into it that modify the base card, right? They add abilities or they add value or whatever to that base card. And so kind of the whole thing of the game is that there's one set deck and you're going to play a few rounds, like 3 or 4 rounds. All the cards get dealt out, but while you're playing, you can purchase upgrades from a market and slide them into your cards, right? And so then when you play them out, they're more powerful, you can do cooler stuff. But the catch is that, you're upgrading these cards, you're spending, a resource to upgrade these cards. But at the end of the round, they're all going to get shuffled into the main deck and dealt out again, right? So you're upgrading cards that could potentially end up in other people's hands in a following round. But the cool thing is that you have two inserts you can slide into a card that claim it as yours. And so you can do this twice in the game. So to 2 different cards, you can like claim it as yours. So you slip in your banner that says, this is my card. And then on previous rounds, at the beginning of the round, if anyone has that in their hand, they have to give it to you, right? So if you have this mega cool upgraded card you've made, you can be like, no, I'm claiming this one, right? So you're going to get it every round, no matter what. The flip side is that you're helping the person who it's dealt to because they're getting a card out of their hand for free at the beginning of the round. So it's just got a lot of cool stuff going on. Just played it one time, but it was a lot of fun. So that's Ruins.
Yeah, this one I actually did look into a little bit. And like when you said it, I was like, oh yeah, right, that one. Because I was buying some Christmas games, and this is like actually I think when I bought Harmonies instead, but this was one of the ones I was looking at. But that is a good vote of confidence to know that it is good. In fact, I'm going to put it now into the doc. You know which doc I'm talking about. Doc.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage looking into... the votes on BGG are saying that, it plays 2 to 5. Community says 3 to 5 and plays best at 4. There's 60% vote saying they don't recommend it at 2 players. So I don't know if how well it does at 2 players. Personally, I think Scout is fine with 2. There's a modified rule set. I think Scout works well at 2. So it could be that this one works fine also, but people in general are just kind of the consensus is that it's better if you've got 3 or 4. So
John Declare's got a good little pile of not like top 100 games, but top 1,000 games for sure.
Well, he's kind of all over the place
Base.
with his designs, it seems like, but they're all pretty solid.
Yeah. Do you miss Space Base?
I think Space Base is a great game to teach to people that don't play a lot of games. I think it's smart, and I think it's a lot of fun, but it gets old quickly for me. But for that reason, I think it's a good game to have if you're teaching people that haven't played a lot of games, but they like playing strategic games. I think it's good for that ballot. But in general, it's not something I would come back to very often if I owned it. So,
well, it's also worth noting that because of your great intuition, both of us played the game wrong for probably the vast majority of the space-based games we've played.
That's true. Actually, I think the last time, I think I've only played it like once or twice with the correct rules.
I think maybe once for me, and I think it was with the same person, actually. It was at that game cafe, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, because that guy told me I was playing it wrong. And I was like, oh, cool. And then you went there the following week, and you were also trying to play it the wrong way. And he was like, no. I told Nate how to play it right last week. Yeah, good times.
Exactly that, yeah. Good times.
All right, well, that's what we've been up to. And now let's get up to our game of the week, Cody. For the life of me, I can't remember. One of us does a synopsis?
Yeah, I think it's just sort of random in who does it. Usually it's whoever's more qualified to like explain it. But
I feel like we're
like
equally.
both of us.
Yeah. I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah, go for it.
So our game of the week is Beyond the Sun. This is it's a board game based around a big tech tree, basically. The main action board is basically just a tech tree, and there's kind of the 4 basic available techs at the beginning, and then you're sponsoring tech cards and exploring new ones that create obviously upgraded and cooler versions of similar actions. And then there's a little sideboard where you are exploring some planets in space, trying to do a little bit of area control and then claiming planets. And all of this is helping contribute to resource production. The resource production's a little weird in this. We can get into how that works. But you are kind of trying to increase your resource production and explore new techs that let you conquer, new planets out on that spaceport. And so that's, I guess, kind of the main driver is trying to conquer planets. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, the techs are also... I think the techs are more the main driver. I almost feel like the planet conquering is a solid side hustle.
But in general, I guess the techs do give some points, right? If it's a tier 1, 2, 3, or 4, they do give you a few points just for having researched it. But in general, mostly what the techs do, I guess they're kind of split between enabling you to research more techs more efficiently. But I feel like it's probably like a 60-40 split, where 60% of them are they're causing you to interact more with the space board and the planet board. I feel like.
Yeah, I guess if you look at it that way, it is definitely, that's more the activity you're shooting for. But most of the time you spend in order to get to anything else is on that tech track.
Yes.
I think is why I think it's much more dominant.
Yeah, well, all the actions you're carrying out for the most part are going to be on that tech track. There's some basic actions that you take more towards the beginning of the game that aren't on the tech tree. But once you get halfway into the game, for the most part, you're jumping around between these different tech cards on the board. But I think there's more points in the planet dominating than there is in the tech exploring. So, but let's get into...
I don't know.
You don't know?
I think it can depend. Well, I think it can depend on the game, because at least the most recent game we played, I want to say I only conquered like maybe 3 planets, and each planet is as little as like 2 or 3 points to as much as like 6. So let's say like an average of maybe 4. So I mean, I maybe got like 12 to 15 points out of that, but like a winning score is something like in the 60s, 70s, maybe even 80s. So I mean, there's a lot of other things that are giving you the points. But that was a game where I didn't go super full force into the planets either.
It's definitely kind of a split, I guess, because also those tier 4s are going to have endgame scoring goals generally, and you can get a chunk of points off of those. So,
and I think all the other tech cards are worth points equal to their tier.
Yes.
I'm pretty
that
sure.
sounds right.
So I mean, there's 4 starting ones, and then is it 6 of the next?
It's a little
2?
weird
6
because it's
2s and
not
6
perfectly
3s?
symmetrical.
So they kind of bounce a little bit. But anyway, enough of that. we're going to talk about what we like and dislike about the game. Am I right?
What's something you like, Cody?
Well, I'm going to start off. No, dude, it's been so hot. It's been 6 months. Do we conclude with our overall impressions of the game, or do we start with our overall
I
impressions
think we
of the game?
conclude, and we could even do ratings if you want. I don't think we've done that in the past.
Oh, actually, yes, because I have some interesting things to say about that as well.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah, let's conclude with all those goodies, true to tradition. I'm going to hit you up with, I like that the whole game is basically a tech tree. And this is basically just what we were talking about. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's more going on, but the primary thing you're interacting with to do anything is the tech tree. The tech tree, it can give you access to some ongoing abilities, I think, if I recall, but primarily it opens up little worker action spaces that you can go. And I like that you're progressing, you're unlocking more powerful actions along the tech tree. Future techs require you to have one or more previous techs in order to advance to them, which is kind of cool. And then it's not super impactful in the game necessarily, but I like that, let's say you research Tech 1. At the end of Tech 1, it has like a color pointing forward. Let's say it's red. So those are going to be like the combat or the military cards. When you research the next Tech 2 card that hasn't been researched yet, connected to that card, you have to reveal cards until you find cards that match with that faction type. This probably makes no sense if you have not actually played the game, but it leads to this cool cascade of you get to determine what the next sort of card is going to be. I think that's cool. I like the whole tech tree thing. And the whole scheme of it actually has sort of an Agricola style essence of where there's certain types of things that are going to trigger eventually, such as the ability to research Tech 3 cards. You don't start off with that ability.
Yeah.
But as you research through things, that appears suddenly, and then you'd have access to do more things. Again, kind of like Agricola and the, advanced actions that show up. Anyway, I think all of that comes together in a really cool way, and I really like it. Well,
that's the brunt of the game. I mean, I'm piggybacking here a bit on that because tech trees are just fun, and this game is not like, oh, you're going to have a little tech tree of abilities that you're upgrading for your character in this game. It's like, no, the actions you're taking are the tech tree, and it's shared, right? And so it has this thing where, like, if you research a tech, I can still research it, but maybe there's only one action on there. And so if you go to that action, I can't go to it until you've moved off of it, right? Or if I've unlocked a tech that you haven't unlocked yet, then it's an exclusive spot that only I can go to with my action pawn. Mm-hmm. And so it's just really fun. It's worker placement, I guess. Is it? It's more like action selection, but it's competitive action selection in a way.
It is sort of, because, well, that gets into some other things I'm going to say. So okay. I just won't. Okay. There you go.
But I do also appreciate the fact that there's kind of 4 different flavors of tech cards that you can unlock, and it gives you it gives you 2 choices, and there's kind of some that are more economic, some that are more tech-based, some that are more exploration-based. And so you can kind of pursue which avenues you're leaning into a little bit more that game. But also I think the game forces you to lean into everything, right? Like you can't effectively lean into the space and controlling planets if you're not doing anything on the tech board, because you're going to be using really basic actions to do all that. But you also can't go exclusively tech and ignore all the planets, mainly because the other person is then going to just run the board and just be colonizing planet after planet with no resistance.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a great system.
Which it doesn't hold your hand. It's not like the game is requiring that you do these things. It's more like, if you do not learn to master all these things at the same time, you will die.
Basically,
which is good.
Like they're all very There's basically 2 big systems, which is the space exploration and colonizing, and then the tech tree advancement sort of a board. And they're intrinsically connected, right? You really can't just focus on one of those. You're going to be doing both. So,
yes.
Next big point for me. You have something else to say?
Do it. No, I had, again, there's a whole bunch of things that tie into all this, and those are all my later points. So never mind. Great. You do your next thing.
Next big thing for me is the income system. I think the income system in this is brilliant specifically pertaining to the cargo or the boxes, the dice. I don't know what they're actually called. The goods, maybe?
Resource cubes.
Yeah.
I think.
Basically, there's kind of two resources. One is like coal, which is just a generic, as you're removing discs, you have like two resource lines, one for the dice and one for the coal. And as you're removing discs, it basically is just like the more discs you remove, the more coal you can produce, right? But with the dice, you have like 4 different columns, and as you're removing discs, it's kind of unlocking access to those columns, and so you can get your income from those columns. But they're not coming from a general infinite supply like the coal is, right? And so once you've exhausted a column, you can't get any more dice from it. And so the dice are a more rare resource in a way because there isn't an inexhaustible supply. But they're also the more useful die because they're required for doing both of the main things in the game. They're required for researching text, and they become your spaceships on the board. So they kind of have a dual use, right? So they become your spaceships, which are required for colonizing. And then when you do those actions, typically you get your dice back and they go back into those columns, right? Almost in a Carnegie sense, right? Where you're kind of putting workers out. Okay, get some back and kind of refill up. And now you can kind of produce more stuff. So I think the income system is really smart, and it forces you to keep increasing your income potential, even though you're maybe not necessarily getting more resources, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of piggybacking because my second point is, yes, exactly that, the resource system. Yeah, and what you were saying about the cubes, I think there's a little bit of refinement there because it's not necessarily as simple as you empty your little columns of cubes to do stuff and then you get them back. Because if you're placing them out to research, there's actually a limiting factor with it. The research cubes you don't get back. They serve as like placeholders on those tech cards. So there's this odd balance of you're increasing your production over the course of the game. You're automating, you're getting more discs out to uncover production abilities. And that's always going to increase your ore production because ore is an unlimited item. But yeah, if you run out of columns of cubes to do, sometimes I just step back and like think about what I'm saying just for someone who's never played games. Like, you get your columns of cubes out, man. Production is cool. Yeah. Anyway, when you run out of columns of cubes, it's problematic. And it means you're doing well at the game because you're getting a lot of guys out there. You're getting lots of tech cards conquered. You're getting new abilities. You have new places you can go. You're getting more points. But it has, this odd, I don't know. It almost feels like a catch-up mechanism is sort of what it reminds me of.
How
where
so?
You're doing better at something. Well, it's not at all a catch-up mechanism. It feels a little bit similar. So think of like quacks. Someone's doing really well. There's a whole bunch of rat tails that you're producing, and it lets other people kind of catch up with you so that there's no runaway with the game. It stays tight. It's kind of similar with this, where you're doing really well, and you're getting access to all these new tech cards, but it doesn't mean that your resource production is going to go up and skyrocket, pun intended.
I think you have to continually improve your resource production so that you can continue to produce roughly the same amount of resources. If you don't keep trying to upgrade and unlock more resource producing potential, then you're at a certain point you're not going to be producing anything at all. So it's a whole game of trying to keep your head above the water, basically.
Yeah. It's almost frustrating, and sometimes it is frustrating, but some games don't do that well. I think Beyond the Sun does it excellently. Where I agree. The resource system is on point, and it's the perfect balance of crunch.
I think for a first game it could be rough. I don't remember. It's funny. The first time we ever played this was in person, and I believe that was the last time either of us played it in person. And since we've played it a handful of times on BGA, but I think first play can be rough.
That was on a board game weekend in like Eastern Oregon, I think.
Yeah, that was back in probably 2022. It was a few years ago, at least.
Yeah, I don't think you had a lady then, so it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, since then it's all been digital plays. But I think I don't remember the first play being miserable. I think we both enjoyed it for what it was, but it was also a lot. We both threw ourselves into the frying pan or whatever, into the pain and the hurt and the, like neither of us had played before. We were just kind of learning from the rule book, and it was interesting. So,
yeah, again, I have more thoughts about that, but we'll get into that with the final conclusion for the game. I will hit you up with my point number 3 though, which is I like the planet cards. I like the exploration board over off to the side. It's a little odd kind of just having this extra board, I will say, but it actually integrates really seamlessly. So as you're producing things in the game, you're building spaceships, you deploy your little spaceships out onto the starting planet, Sol. But if you gain access to a shipyard system farther out on the board, you can start deploying your ships there. And then, as you're advancing through the different tech cards, you can get access to stronger versions of movement. So you can split your movement and send multiple ships out to go along this little mini board with connected lines, this little map, and land on different cards. And I think that's great because it's not just like an area control thing. It's like you do have to have more control than the other person to own the planet. So there is competition there. But then you also have to have enough power in general to settle the planet. And then if you just take the planet in the first place and like claim control over it, usually there's some bonus for you. It can help your production because you can automate one of your little discs off of your board, and now you're getting either more ore or more people. And then if you actually successfully take the planet and colonize it and it becomes permanently your own, that helps your production even more. It gives you points, and then usually there's some sort of ongoing ability or maybe a one-time bonus. They really pack a lot into that little system right there, where that's probably more what you're talking about, where so much of the game is the tech tree, but it really points you, towards the systems, the planets. I just think that's really cool. I love how they integrate it. And it adds a stress element where if someone else is out there getting a whole bunch of spaceships and you're getting a little bit left behind, you can start getting kind of nervous of like, oh man, I need to get some ships out there. I need to stop this guy from colonizing so many things. Yeah, I love it. What say you? Did I steal your point number 3?
I actually was not a point that I had specifically, but I do think that it's a very cool system. And I also like the fact that it's got this self-balancing factor where, like, let's say we both have some ships on a planet, but you have enough to colonize and you have majority. So you to take a colonize action, you get the planet, you get all those nice, juicy benefits. Well, a nice thing for you is that all those spaceships you use, that strength you use, is going to go back to your columns, and now you have more stuff that you can produce, right? But the really good thing for the person that had ships on that planet is that their ships basically just get kicked out into a neutral area of the exploration board, and they still have a bunch of ships out in the exploration board, whereas all of your spaceships that you use for that are removed from that board, right? And so it kind of has this self-balancing thing where it's not just like Risk or something where you just have a bunch of troops and you just continuously are dominating me more and more and more. It's like, okay, no, you beat me, you got that planet, but now all the ships you used are gone, right? They're back to your player board, but I still have ships out there, right? And so it kind of naturally oscillates in that way where the more colonizing you're doing, the more spaceships you're actually removing from that board. So you have to then go through the trouble to put them back out there. So I think it's just a good balancing system.
Well, and it's a double balancing system because if you're really strong on the exploration board and you have lots of spaceships out there, it means that all of your supply columns have no cubes in them, so you can't produce people. So it's like the game has competitive objectives too, and one of those can be like have 4 power on like 3 different planets. So it's like you can be trying to hold out and not actually conquering planets just so you can meet that objective, and you're just kind of floundering a little bit, like hoping someone doesn't move you off. Yeah,
and it's got this the movement system is a little interesting too, right? Where it's not totally linear, but there's only 3 planets. 2 of them are closer to each other. The other one's a little bit harder to get to. There's kind of 2 different spots that you can potentially drop ships in. And yeah, there's a lot of upgrading your ships. Just the whole system is very cool. Last main point for me though is just simply, I think this game has fantastic interaction in general. There's no like head-to-head combat unless you want to call, kind of trying to compete to colonize planets could be perceived as that. But there's just, we've talked a lot about the exploration board and about how you want to get to a planet first and have the only presence or have the most or the only presence there, because then you get to drop one of your, production discs on it. So that's going to make your production better. But if the other person comes in with more ships, then you lose, your disc goes back and they get to put one out, right? So there's some area majority. But then, trying to get the planets also for those special bonuses. But then also on the main board with the text, right? Like you're kind of trying to be the first person to research text, because there's an event card that comes with every, like the first person who researches something is going to pick the card that goes there, right? So you're going to pick whatever benefits you the most. But then also a lot of times there's a little event card that you flip up that gives you some little bonus or something that you have the agency and the other person just has to deal with whatever you choose, right? So there's a lot of really good interaction, a lot of competing for things. This feels like a trend in a lot of board games, is where it's like, okay, it's not a fighting game. We're not rolling dice and attacking each other and killing each other, but we're kind of all competing for very similar things. And so there's a lot of, in a way, indirect interaction trying to beat other people to certain things in the game and be the first person to do stuff, because there's more benefit to being the first person to do things or to do things better. So
yeah, there's definitely lots of racing, and this this wasn't one of my points, but I 100% agree. And the weird thing is, I don't think either of us have played a game with more than 2 players. Am I right?
As far as Beyond the Sun goes, no.
Yeah, and yet it's fine. Like I'm sure. The exploration board, it flips over, so it gets a little bit bigger for like 3 or 4 players. So it probably scales a little bit better. But I don't think the main board changes. And yet, like for a 2-player game, everything that Nate just described is 100% accurate. Like there's lots of games that are very crunchy, very juicy. They thrive with the interaction, but they're just a bit lacking in a 2-player game. Barrage is kind of like that. That's a little bit different, because then there's just more resources to share around, basically, but there's a little bit less of that gritty, like, oh no, is this person going to go there and steal that spot, and now like I can't do anything. I'm just impressed that Beyond the Sun can take this and have this function perfectly fine at a 2-player game, and I'm very confident that it would work just as well at 3 or 4. I'm actually curious, what is it on best at 3 voted by the community? So yeah.
And I
want to do a 3-player game.
I definitely would want to also. Our only exposure, of course, is to the 2-player game, and so that could be why we think it's great. But I think it really is. I think it really does work well, and it could be that it's better at 3. It's very likely, but it's still really good. Having not played it at 3, I still feel confident in saying that it's really good at 2.
Well, there's another vote of confidence for it, that most games on BGG, it will say like 2 to 4 players. Or no, maybe let's say like 2 to 6, and they'll be like community 4 to 5, something like that. The community actually matches the player count 2 to 4, just says best at 3. So obviously a lot of people think it also works just fine at 2. But Nate, I have a 4th point that I want to throw at you to conclude us off with the likes. It's the worker placement system in this, the quote unquote worker placement. It's weird because it's actually. It sort of combines worker placement with the Scythe action selection system, is kind of what it reminds me of. In Scythe, you use your little marker and you take one of your quadrants. You can't repeat that quadrant. You have to go and do another thing in your next turn. It's the same way in Beyond the Sun, where you can take an action, but it's double now. You're occupying that action spot. No one else can take it until after you take your next turn, when you free it up by going somewhere else. There are like 2... maybe 3 spots, I think, that allow multiple people to go there.
Sometimes you have to pay more coal to do it. Or ore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot that there's the bonus, as Barrage would call it, the malice for having to go there. But yeah, then there's like the spot down below that it's like any number of people can go here, and then there's like one of them that's like exactly 2 people can go here without penalty. Anyway, I just think that's a cool, fun system where you can finish your turn, come to the next turn, and now maybe you'd really, really, really like to repeat the action you just did because you're set up for it, but you're going to have to do something else. And in that way, it actually does remind me a bit of Scythe, where you need to set up your actions so you can pivot and bounce back and forth each time without trying to just take the same action over and over again. Unless you're Rusviet. There is no Rusviet in Beyond the Sun. The Russians do not go to space in this world, I guess. I don't know.
Well, but also it not only does it prevent you from taking the same action multiple times in a row, but it forcefully frees up that spot for other people, right? Like if you have to go somewhere else, then now it's available for anyone else on their next turn. So,
yeah. Which that dynamic I could see probably being a bit more interesting with 3 or 4 players, because it'd probably be a lot more convoluted.
Yeah.
Although I do remember, is there like a little insert or something that I want to say you actually maybe flip over a little tile and it's different for like a 3 or 4 player game. It's been so long since we did the physical.
I'm sure there are some changes to the tech board, but yeah, I mean, we've never played 3 or 4, so I wouldn't know. But
yeah.
I do have.
Well, enough of this.
I have one neutral point.
Niceness. What do you have a neutral point?
Yes.
Okay.
This game gets a lot of grief, I think, for how it looks. And personally, I think certain aspects look really good. I kind of dig the more minimalist approach. I mean, there's a lot of whites and a lot of, I don't know if I'd say basic colors, but there's a lot of clear lines, a lot of whites. It's got a very deep in space kind of vibe to it with kind of these modern white looking texts and stuff like that. The only thing I don't like, and also the player colors are fantastic. I think they picked really good player colors for this game. The only thing I don't like are the player boards themselves. Look like I don't know, like a Excel spreadsheet kind of vibe. Like they're really, really boring looking. The only thing that makes them look somewhat interesting is your player pieces on them. But if you remove all your player pieces, it's just this really, it looks like a prototype. I remember when we actually pulled the game out and played it for the first time, being surprised at how drab. Like there's just no color, nothing at all going on those player boards. That's interesting to look at. But apart from that, I think everything else about the game works fine. It's got kind of this cold, bleak look to it, and it's very spacey. So,
yeah, I hear that, and I'll jump on with that as probably as a neutral point too. Like, there's strong aspects that I actually don't even care. Like, I think it does a good job of sort of replicating the cold expanse of space. I don't know if that's what they were going for on purpose, but kind of the minimalism and the overall color scheme does that for me. But I mean, I do agree a bit with the player boards. They are pretty minimal. What more bothers me about the player boards, so maybe I actually do have a tiny little dislike. And this we haven't noticed for a long time because we've only been playing it digitally, except for that one time. But I don't know if you recall, this is a double-layered board like Scythe style, but the little indents where your discs and your cubes go are very shallow. And that just bugs me. I'd like to be able to put a disc there and know that it's not going to shift away if I like bump my board or something. So I don't know, I could see, like, I'd be very excited if there was like a second edition of this that came out with a little bit more revamped like component system.
yeah.
But
man, apart
that,
from
like,
that, the
I mean,
components
again,
are really good, though. I feel like, apart from maybe the player boards.
Just the boards. I like the ore. The ore is interesting. It's like the Everdell resin, but just obsidian black.
Yeah, it's the shiny black that looks like it's going to cut you. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So all that to say, that's not a super strong complaint really at all from me, especially because I just play this digitally now, but I can see where it's coming from.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any direct dislikes
I do.
about this game?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
You do? Okay.
One for me are these kind of, you would almost call them event cards for when you're exploring new text. The first person there, either it unlocks a new basic ability on the side of the board that anyone can use, or it's kind of some event where you get to kind of choose what happens. But I feel that like how interesting those cards are varies very widely. You can flip over one that's really cool and you get to do something awesome, or you can flip over one that's like, oh, this just unlocks a basic action or something, and you get like a coal or an ore or something, right? So there's some that are like really cool and really you get to do something fun, and then there's others that are really like feel really boring and like a missed opportunity. So I didn't love that like you might explore a tech and get to do a cool event, and then I might go explore a tech and do something that's just kind of underwhelming. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to level with you. I actually wrote down nothing for dislikes. You bringing that up does make me think about that a little bit, but I think I don't really mind it. I mean, maybe some proper balancing could be implemented in there, but the events to me are an exciting little boon that don't necessarily affect the game super strongly. I mean, there is one, I will say, I forget exactly what it does. And no, I think it like gives you like a personal Tech 3 research spot that no one else has access to. That is a little bit OP because someone like the Tech 3 research spot may not even be available neutrally for everyone else, and then you have this cool little thing that you get to do. I don't remember exactly like how it's balanced. Like maybe it gives other players something, or maybe I don't really remember. But yeah, I can at least see that some balancing could be ideal.
Yeah.
Like off the top of my head, it's not something I really think about.
Yeah, and it's not that big of a thing either. I think it's more of a minor thing. Only other thing I would say is the end game trigger cards. They're both the end game trigger and they're the end game goals. I think the goals themselves are fine, right? It's like research a level 4 tech, which is really hard. Or it's not really hard, but you have to like, if you want to do it before the end of the game, you kind of have to really focus in just one channel and not spread out too much, which can be difficult to do. So, you know, the goals are difficult to achieve, but it feels good when you do achieve one and you get to put a star out, right? What I don't love is that there's a couple things. A, I feel like you don't get very many points for doing them. You get like, depending on the goal, you like maybe you'll get 4 points, but more likely it's like 3 or 2 even. Like it feels really like a disappointing amount of points for doing something so legendary, right?
Yeah.
But furthermore, like in a 2-player game, there's I think 4 cards out, and the game ends when there's a total of 3 like stars that have been placed, which basically means one person's going to do 2 and the other person is going to do 1 and maybe a second one if they can swing it, you know, on their last turn when the game's ending, which feels really lame. Because again, it's like these are cool goals that you're working towards towards the end of the game, and you like might only get to place 1 star on any of them. It just feels really like comparing it to Scythe, where you're trying to place out 6, right? And you know, you feel good if you get 4 or 5 out. You're like, okay, I did pretty well, right? Yeah. Somebody else got 6 out and triggered the end game. And this, it's like you're cutting that into like thirds, basically. And so it's just less satisfying, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is at least some... I wonder if this was a balancing factor they did, because I hear what you're saying, and that's not very many points, and that can be kind of frustrating. Like, man, this is like 1 of 3 total endgame triggers. I should get more than.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a reason for it, balancing wise.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Is like, those goals can be difficult to achieve. So maybe that's so, like, it's not exactly luck based, and if you can qualify for one, but it can be hard to determine like early on in the game, like which ones you're even going to go for. So maybe if the game swings in a certain way where it's easy for someone to complete like 2 of them, the other person who was just like 1 planet away from basically qualifying for maybe multiple doesn't get punished and like lose a whole bunch of points.
Yeah, interesting thought. I think also like by the time you've achieved those goals, the journey to like the means to an end gave you a lot of points along the way, right? Like researching that level 4 tech. You've researched a bunch of other stuff that's helped you, and that level 4 tech is going to be an end game scoring. So getting more points on top of that is, I guess, just kind of the icing on the cake. And so it doesn't need to be a ton. Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, it's literally just a trigger with, I guess, a little bit of compensation for the person who did it.
So, Cody, final thoughts and a rating, I guess.
Yes. So I've got a couple final thoughts, mainly being, I know this is a game that strangely grew on both of us. I know we first played it. It was kind of like, okay, that was a lot. I'd be interested in playing it again, and then we never got around to it. This is not at all the kind of game that Kirsten would enjoy, especially thematically. She just does not care about anything like space related, which is sad because I love sci-fi stuff. But because of that, I sold this, I'm sure within a year of actually buying it. I think I held on to it for a while and was just like, well, never going to play it, so we'll get rid of it. But then we discovered that it's on Board Game Arena. And within the last year, we have probably played this, I don't know, 4 times?
I was going to say maybe even 5. Yeah, it's been a few times for sure.
Maybe 5. And in less than a year, honestly, like maybe the last 6 months. I don't even know. Yeah, this has definitely shot up both in the ranking. It is like in my top 100 and the actual rating I've given it on Board Game Geek. This has become one of my favorites. It's sort of weird how games can kind of do that, where you play it the first time, you're like, oh, that was different, but then I don't know, it just does well. I don't know if my tastes have just changed or if something just kind of clicked. Obviously, it happened for both of us, so maybe it's just the magic of the game. But I don't want to speak too much for you. I'm aware that you like it more than you used to, but maybe I'll pass the mic to you, brother.
Well, what's your rating? Or do you have a rating for it?
I do have a rating, actually. So, okay, I guess I'll give that little tangent then. I probably originally had this rated at like 8, I think. And then maybe a couple months ago, after we were playing it again, I bumped it up to an 8.5. And then as I was sitting here going through my likes and dislikes, I came up with nothing that really bothered me about the game. Nothing I actually could write down as like a pure dislike. And it got me just kind of questioning my rating system. It's like, if there's nothing I dislike about the game, does that just make it a 10? Or does 10 have to have like a magic of some kind? I still didn't rate it a 10. I have this as a 9.5 now. Maybe that will jump down to like a 9. But to me, it's like I've very much come to love the game. But I recognize it does not have the 100% amazing, incredible, perfect quality that would warrant a 10. So it's a 9.5. There you go.
Yeah, similar story for me. We played it once. I was like, okay, this is interesting and kind of cool, but also felt kind of clunky first time playing, and it never hit the table again, right? And then for whatever reason, we just kind of hit it off on BGA, and it's really it's really shot up in my appreciation for it. And I think that makes sense. I mean, it's definitely the kind of game that a game or two under your belt is really going to help you appreciate it. It's not going to be a one play and it's a super satisfying experience sort of a thing, right? But yeah, obviously I have a couple smaller gripes with it. The things I already mentioned. There's a couple things that aren't totally satisfying to me. But man, it's just so fun. Like unlocking text, and honestly, the texts aren't even that different. I mean, because there's only 2 main things you're doing in the game. You're either exploring the tech tree or you're on the exploration board, like trying to colonize planets. And so that means all of the actions basically revolve around those 2 main things. So in a way, it feels like there's actually not that much variety in the different, tech cards that you're unlocking and researching. But it's just so addicting, like to be like, I don't know what I'm going to flip, but it's going to show me 2 cards. And I'm going to, and the best thing, we didn't even talk about this, but like a lot of the cards, like, yes, they're giving you an action, but almost always they have an immediate bonus. And sometimes it's really juicy. Yeah. Sometimes you pick a card just because the immediate bonus is so good and you're like, I'm never going to use the action that I'm unlocking for myself, but that bonus is so good and I need it right now so badly, right? So those moments are just so satisfying. And then, the interaction is just so great, especially on the exploration board. I originally had this rated. I don't do 0.5s anymore. I just do solid numbers. I kind of came up with my own rubric. I originally had this as an 8, but just since we've been talking about it, I'm officially bumping it up to a 9 because it's just
nice. Despite
my small quibbles, which prevent it from being a 10, it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun, man. We gotta play it again.
I hear it, man. Yeah, there's an expansion for it from 2023.
Yeah.
And I do not believe it's made it to Board Game Arena. which is kind of sad because I would like to play it.
Yeah. I believe it includes variable player powers, among other things. That's really all I know.
I mean, it's called Leaders of the New Dawn. So like, if it does not have variable player powers, then I'm mad.
Uh-huh.
All right. So that means it gets an average rating from us of 9.25.
Pretty good, man.
Pretty good. Well, now that we're almost an hour in,
we're gonna
to the cast,
need to figure out our pacing again. But it's our first episode back. We're a little rough, so it's gonna be a little longer. It is what it is, man.
Yeah, and I'll listen to podcasts that I really enjoy. I'm not saying there's a whole bunch of people out there that like love the podcast.
There's
maybe
couple.
there are. That'd be awesome. We've got 13 people on Spotify, so it's pretty good for now. But I'll get sad like when I'm listening to Once We Were Spacemen. And Nathan Fillion starts doing his outro thing. I'm like, I wish there was more to that episode. we deliver hour and a half episodes, right? So you just get 50% more of that juicy goodness.
Well, let's get on to that last half hour.
But all
then,
that
Cody.
to say, yeah. And you say it like there's transition music,
There
but there isn't. We go into it.
This was your pick.
It's time to banter.
Yeah, this was your pick for a banter. So I will let you intro it and why you decided to pick it.
Yeah. Well, I kind of picked the game of the week too, but I think we both knew that this had to happen very soon.
Yeah.
Because we've not talked about it yet. But yeah, top 5 uses of dice. I really don't remember even picking this. I probably just looked at it on our list of board banter ideas and I was like, that looks interesting. But the concept here is these are not necessarily top 5 games with dice or even
some of mine actually don't even have dice
implementations. Okay. I don't believe you.
But dude, Beyond the Sun's number 1. There's dice.
That's true. I mean, I vaguely considered this, but I was like, nah, that's not honoring. It's a tracker. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
So, top 5 games. Top 5 uses of dice. So, like, it ended up being that like my number 1 pick for this is certainly far higher in my ratings than my number 5.
Sure.
But I didn't necessarily think of it as like pick 5 games with dice. It's like these are clever implementations of dice that maybe you've never seen before.
Potentially.
And I think my number 1, I'm pretty sure, is like that. So we'll kind of just have to see. I'm pretty sure I started with my first though. So I feel like you get to hit us off with your number 5.
That's fine. Real quick, do you think we have any crossovers?
Oh? I was thinking about this. I am very confident that we'll have probably 2, maybe more. And I was actually anticipating some that I was guessing you would include. I'm actually going to write them down right now so I can lock in my guesses.
Okay, I did not do that for you. I didn't realize that was a thing we were doing. But
well, because I knew you would pick one, I decided not to even pick a game in that realm.
Really?
So that we don't have a whole bunch of crossovers. Yeah. So we'll see if I was right. We'll find out.
Interesting.
Anyway, how many crossovers do you think we'll have? I'm locking it in at 2.
I think
would have been 3 if I had included the one I thought.
Okay, the one that you're referring to right now was one that I would have said would have been a crossover, if that's what it is. Apart from that, maybe 1.
Okay.
Maybe 1.
We got some weird double speak going on.
All right, well, we better just get into it then.
All right, number 5, hit it.
All right, my number 5 is a Steffenfeld game that I would be surprised if you've played. This is called Bora Bora. Bora Bora is a dice placement game, and it's got the
wow. This looks miserable.
Well, it's got Steffenfelditis, meaning it's a mechanism salad for sure. It's like here's this mechanism over here, and that one over there, and this one over here, and they are almost connected, but not really. But here's what I love about this game. So I think you just roll your dice at the beginning of the round, kind of Marco Polo style, right? It's like, here's my dice that I get to use. And with any dice placement game, you always have the conundrum of, okay, are larger numbers better than smaller numbers? If so, what's the mitigation process, right? And this game does something really smart, which is that there's like 5 or 6 different actions in the game that you actually place your die on, right? And any amount of people can go there. And the more the larger the number you place there, the more powerful the action you get to do. So you want bigger numbers. The catch, and this is brilliant, is that you can never place a die of higher value than a die that's already on an action. So if I roll placing a 6 somewhere is great. I get to do something really powerful. But if you place a 1 somewhere, you get a relatively weak action, but now nobody else can place anything there except maybe a 1. You might be able to place an equal value on the same action, right? So the smaller numbers are great for boxing out other people and preventing them from using their powerful dice on actions. But then also you want bigger numbers to do powerful actions, right? And so that's just, to me, that's a brilliant mitigation mechanism included into what is otherwise a relatively standard fair mechanism salad game. So pretty brilliant and a lot of fun.
That does sound pretty fun. The theme looks very boring, but
yeah,
I'd be willing to give it a shot.
It's relatively ugly. There's not much theme, but it's very smart, even if you can see all the gears.
Well, my number 5, Nate, is a game that is absolutely legendary, not necessarily in a good way. This is a game that we passed back and forth at least a few times in possession. And I ultimately finally sold.
Good.
What is it, Nate?
Euphoria. Not on my list.
It is. Well, technically, this is Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia. Yeah. We're not talking about the other game called Euphoria, also from 2013, which boxed out Jamie Stegmaier, so we had to rename it.
Definitely.
Oh, and Alan Stone. I'm sorry. Alan Stone's still around at this point. Yeah, Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia, game with excellent production value, excellent art, well, pretty good art, and it just kind of falls short in being interesting. That's why Nate and I kept throwing it back and forth at each other. The main thing for me is just that it's a race game.
Yeah.
And so you just get to 10 stars, and there's not much interesting or unique about how you get those stars, so it feels a bit of a slog. But it does have a very clever dice system. So obviously you're running a dystopia. You're trying to keep all your people dumb and easily controllable. But that also makes them less useful. So you have these dice that you'll roll to just like randomly figure out, the values of your dice. And you can purchase more dice, more workers, but they share a collective knowledge level. And whatever there's like a threshold where if your collective knowledge level, so let's say you have like a 6, a 4, a 4, and a 6, you've got a total of 20. And I chose those easy numbers so I didn't actually have to add them up together in my head and not know it was 20. Just a sidebar. And I'm pretty sure that's certainly above the threshold. If you get too high, you lose a worker and something bad happens, you basically get punished because your people become aware that they're in a dystopia and then bad stuff happens. But the thing is, the higher value dice let you do stronger actions in the game. So you're trying to balance rolling and modifying and depending on how many workers you have, trying to keep yourself under that threshold while still having strong enough dice to do cool things. That itself is interesting, but then there's this bump mechanic that they implemented where most places you can go on the main game board, it's like a dice placement, worker placement game. If someone else is occupying that spot, you can just kick their worker off and place your die there. But then where this becomes dangerous for the other person is, let's say they had placed a 1, you could bump their die, they immediately have to re-roll it. Maybe now they get a 4 or something and they're over their threshold and bad stuff happens. That again, it's been so long I don't exactly remember what those bad things are. But it's a cool double system that they implemented, and
it's
Euphoria.
Definitely not on my list. It's a smart system, but I think I just found it. Well, I didn't remember that much about the game to begin with, but the threshold system's really smart. It's just in general, I felt like it wasn't an interesting enough game to include on the list, so it fell off for me.
Well then, since we know for sure what your number 4 isn't, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is a game you've played. I don't know how much you like it. You've only played it on BGA. I'm not sure how much you like it. I've played it quite a few times. I think it's brilliant. This is, depending on how you want to pronounce it, it could be Troyes, Troy, or Trois, even potentially.
This is one of the ones I wrote down in advance that I thought you would play.
Good call.
Which is why I did not pick it, or Black Angel.
Right. So yeah, you could. I think this game, the dice are more interesting in this game than they are in Black Angel, but feasibly you could put either one on this spot here because they both have a very similar mechanism, which is there's kind of 3 different main areas of the board that all have their associated action cards that are different every game, which is cool, but also they have their own associated dice of that color. So you've got white, red, and yellow. And the amount of presence that you've built up in that area determines the amount of dice from that area you'll roll at the beginning of a round, right? And so, you kind of draft starting abilities, but like as the game's progressing, you might be leaning more into white. So you're putting more of your presence in white, which means at the beginning of each round, you'll be rolling more white dice, which in turn also means that you'll be taking more of those white card actions with the white dice. So it's just a really cool system, and I love the fact that you can also buy other players' dice because it introduces a lot of tension of what order you should do actions in, because you're trying to look at other people's dice and what they might be doing and like how likely are they to buy off that red 6 you have that you really want to use, right? And so I just love that tension. Yeah. I mean, buying dice is expensive from the other players, but sometimes that like when one of your opponents just rolls that yellow 6 and that yellow 6 would just make for a perfect action on this specific card. So you just, bite the bullet, spend some money and do a really cool action. So it's just a cool economy that's all dice based, and it's just a brilliant game and a lot of fun. So that's Trois.
Yeah. Yeah. This isn't like my super favorite game, but I do enjoy playing it on BGA, and the red dice are also cool because they can fight the bandits or whoever's showing up.
Yeah.
And that's its whole own little mini system. You have to kind of to play a little
Was this the one that we were beating around the bush on, or is it a different one?
Oh, yeah, 100%. This and Black Angel because of that. So,
Okay, interesting.
But I even assumed that you would pick Trois and not Black Angel. So double points for me.
I do like it more. I think it's a cleaner game and more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like the theme much better in Black Angel. Well, Black Angel has a theme, which is nice, but that's fine.
I like the art and I guess maybe you would say setting of Trois. I like the vibe of Trois. But yeah, there's no theme, and the theme in Black Angel works really well. It is really cool. So
here's the deal. If this game had little tiny robots that you could plug into little plastic robot spaceships, then I'd be all about it, but it doesn't.
Dude, so if we ever do top 5 components in games, which maybe we should, that is going to be at the top of the list. I'm just saying it right now. It's so awesome.
You got to write this down right now, dude.
But now we have to wait a while since I've already spoiled my number 1.
Dang it. All right. Well, how about I give you my number 4?
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see you having this on your list. I'm not sure how clever you think it is.
I think it's actually kind of stupid.
It's not?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll see if Nate eats his words. This is a game that Nate introduced me to.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Introduced me to you introduced me to it. I want to buy it, but it's expensive for what it is. It makes sense because it's a whole bunch of dice. I'm talking about Dice Miner, baby. Dice Miner is, here's the thing. The dice rolling itself is not particularly interesting. You just kind of roll some dice each time. It's more how the dice are used, which is they're used physically, like in physics is what I'm saying. You basically construct a Seven Wonders Duel style pyramid out of dice, and it actually has like a little cardboard tray that makes them sit. And if you want to draft the die, all these dice score a little bit differently. It's pretty basic scoring mechanics where like some of them are, well, actually, no, even the scoring can be interesting. One of them's like you just have to get dice in a row and then you score the total value of that run. Some are, they can be like dragons or falling rocks, which are negative unless you have a specific die that counteracts them, and then it turns them into points. That's kind of clever. Some dice just let you re-roll other dice, and that's basically what they do. But it's the drafting system is particularly what's interesting. It's that pyramid thing. So on your turn, you can take a die. You can only take a top exposed die, though. You can't take dice that if you remove them would make other dice fall. So you can see what the next pick is going to be the whole way down. So in that way, it's a little bit different, Seven Wonders Duel, because as you're going through, you're revealing what is even potentially available in some lines. This one, you know the whole way down what it is. And you may know that like that person over there, they have a whole bunch of dragons right now. I do not want them to get the little green shield die to protect them from the dragons. So I'm going to purposefully try to draft in such a way to prevent them from getting the dragons or the shields. It's just very clever. Not so incredibly clever that I would put this as my number 3, 2, or 1, but I would put this as my number 4.
Well, that checks. That tracks out. Didn't make my list mostly because I didn't find it particularly innovative. If Seven Wonders Duel didn't exist, I would think this would be an incredibly innovative and interesting game. Now, full disclosure, I love the game. I've played it a ton of times. For whatever reason, I think maybe just because it's so short and quick to play, and it has that Seven Wonders Duel tension, but with none of the setup that comes with Seven Wonders Duel, it's really addicting.
Oh yeah, so quick.
But yeah, I didn't make my list basically because it just felt like Seven Wonders Duel, the dice game, kind of. So,
but cooler.
It's very cool, man. It's very cool.
And that's all.
My number 3, I don't know if it's going to be on your list or not. This is actually, I'll let you guess, Cody. This is the only Garfield game.
Not much to go on so far.
It's the only Garfield game on my list.
Wayfarers.
That's correct, yeah. I didn't know if you might like... initially, I considered Scholars, but for the life of me, I couldn't remember how Scholars actually worked, and I think the color system was cooler than how the dice are actually used in the game. But the reason I really like Wayfarers is because you just have standard dice, but you get to upgrade the numbers in a way. So you have this little grid below your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and throughout the game, you can be like acquiring tiles that you can place vertically or sometimes horizontally, and you're putting them into this little grid below the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and thereby upgrading the actions of those numbers, basically. It's been a while since I played the game. I don't remember how a lot of the game actually functions. I really want to table it again, but I just remember loving that little mini system with upgrading your die actions.
Well, I'll just cut to the chase, because my number 3 is also Wayfarers of the South Tigers.
Okay.
This is one of the ones I thought you would put on there, so I was guessing this as a crossover. Because this is your favorite Garfield game,
This is my
right?
favorite Garfield game, yeah.
It is. Let me reference mine. It is definitely not my favorite
Cody?
Garfield game. I don't mind it.
You know what's crazy? You're going to call this heresy. This might be...
Crazy talk.
This might be the only Garfield game in my top 100.
What?
I'm just kind of browsing through
In
and
your
looking right now.
In your top 100? Good golly.
Yeah.
That's such a sad existence.
I think it's the only one, bro. I think Ezra and Nehemiah and Viscounts both just fell off relatively recently.
Oh, man, that's so sad. I'm looking at mine. Let's see. In the top 10, I have Paladins. In the top 20, I have Scholars and Inventors. Not much below that is Viscounts, and then Wayfarers. Architects is a bit farther down. Yeah, I have I have like all the
I
Garfield
appreciate
games
Garfield designs, but in general, they don't captivate me and keep me wanting to come back. But I still have Wayfarers at 37. So it has left an impression on me for sure. I just don't get to play it very often, so.
It looks like I do have Hadrian's Wall at 90, but that also wasn't designed by Shem and Sam, so that's that's saying something, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Go for it. You didn't really talk about Wayfarers much yet, so.
Well, yeah, basically, I agree with it. I mean, it's honestly the last time I played it may have actually been with you, so it's probably been just as long. And I actually had to like go on BGG and look at it and kind of like remember how it worked. But yeah, that dice system is very clever because it's like there's a few worker placement games where you can like upgrade or like specialize your workers. It's not super common, but they basically do that with this, but with dice. And that's cool.
All right.
And like, it's not like you have to use those dice for that specific thing. They can still occupy generic actions. It's just you can make them better, which is cool.
Yeah. You're upgrading their potential. And it's just, there's so much customization there. That's because it can be so different from game to game, the way that you do it, right? And that makes it really fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
My number 2 is a game you have not played.
Number 2.
This is a T game.
Doesn't narrow it down for me.
It is a T game, one of the few T games I've played, and this is Teletum.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I haven't even heard of this one. How do you spell it?
it's like Tile, T-I-L-E, and then T-U-M.
Okay, I've heard of this one. I just thought it was like Tile Tomb or Tile.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right. It's just Teletum rolls off the tongue well. So
yeah.
All right. This game centers around dice drafting. But the way that it works is really smart because there's basically 6 different main actions in the game. And you roll a bunch of dice, I think, at the beginning of a round. And the 1s go together, the 2s go together, 3s, 4, 5, 6s all go together separately, right? And they're all associated with a certain action, basically. And when you draft a die, the number that you take, let's see if I can get this order right. I believe the number that you take determines the number of resources I think the number you take determines the amount of times you can do the action. And the difference between that and 6 is how many resources you get. And so if I take like a gray die that's on 3, I believe that I would get to do the action 3 times, but then I would also earn 3 of the gray resources. Whereas I took a gray die that was like a 5, then I would get 5 gray resources, but I would only do the associated action once, right? So it always adds up to 6. It's just a different combination of the amount of resources you get versus the amount of times that you get to trigger the action, basically, right? So a 6, you're just earning resources, whereas a 1, you only get 1 resource, but you get to trigger that action like 5 times. So it's just a really smart balance that makes for some really fun dice drafting.
Simone just keeps churning these out, doesn't he?
Is that Simone?
Simone Luciano, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
There's definitely some hit and miss ones for me, but because he's both Lorenzo and Marco Polo.
Yeah.
Both of those for me was like, But then I love Barrage. I love Nucleum, Darwin's Journey.
Maybe
this boy's got 4 games in the top 100.
He makes a lot of games, and I wonder, I don't know how. I think he really I think all he does is just work on games. And I know that he also is he either owns or helps run Cranio Creations, which produces a lot of games. So I don't know how many times he has a designer credit, but maybe he was more of a producer and he was just giving an input. I'm not sure. But he definitely has his fingers in a lot of pies. So, and I like a lot of his designs.
He does. And if you like clean pies, you don't want fingers in the pies. So that does have an impact. I will say that.
Yeah, basically just don't play Simone Luciani games.
Yeah.
If you want your games clean.
All right. Well, my number 2 then, I guess, just has to be Nate's number 1.
I wonder if I forgot something.
Unless I'm just very wrong, or maybe I just overassumed your appreciation for it. And admittedly, that maybe this is a little bit of old news at this point, and maybe that's why it doesn't burn in your heart as an interesting dice system. But I am actually throwing Castles of Burgundy at number 2. Because you can do a lot of things with your dice. So you roll your dice, which is pretty fun, and you get to find out what your dice are. But then you have to figure out what I'm going to do specifically with my die. Am I going to use it? Let's say I rolled a 2. Am I going to take a tile from the 2 depot? And there's 6 different depots, 1 for each roll of the die. Or am I going to use that to play a tile that I already have onto a space labeled as a 2 in my little board here thing? And if that gets complicated, you can just use workers to modify your dice into different dice. And guess how you get workers for the most part? You just trash a die and you get workers for it. So it's very clever. It's timeless. Original Castles of Burgundy was 2011, so we're coming up on 15 years for this system now.
Crazy.
And good old Stefan Feld. That was Bora Bora, right? Wasn't that Stefan that you were just talking about? Yeah. Wow, this is an 8.4 rating on BGG. That's very high.
Very high.
But yeah, timeless classic. I mean, even the game itself is wonderful, but I like the dice system in this. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I love the game, obviously. just didn't make my list because, and maybe this is just a byproduct of having played it so much that I'm like numb to how smart it is. But just for the other stuff that's on my list, it didn't feel as interesting, basically. So,
I respect that. In that case, I have no idea what your number one is.
You've played it.
Oh, actually, wait, no. I've got to guess.
Go for it.
Should I just say it? It's your boy Luciani back at it again. Is it Lorenzo Il Magnifico?
It is not. One of my favorite games, but again, that's pretty generic. Like you, well, actually, I mean the rolling 3 dice that affect everyone is very smart, but apart from that, it's relatively generic, just dice placement in a way.
Okay. Okay. I got it.
Go ahead, Cody. Go ahead.
Yahtzee.
All right, get that trash. I mean, Yahtzee's not a terrible game as far as like old generic mass market games go, but no.
Yeah, it's fine.
My number one, it's a game you've played. It's a game that I think you own, Cody.
Whoa.
And
why did I not think of it?
It's solo only. This is Under Falling Skies.
Oh, I've not.
Oh, you haven't played it yet.
That's
okay.
why. Still no.
So yeah, this is a solo only game. And it is brilliant. I played it a handful of times and then I passed it on to you because I just find it hard to engage in solo only. But the system here is so smart where basically you have 6 different columns or maybe 5 different columns. I'm not sure. You have 5 or 6 different columns and there's alien spaceship invaders that are coming down these columns trying to attack Earth or whatever, right? And below, kind of on Earth, and also in these columns, you have different actions that are kind of randomized depending on which action boards you use for a setup, right? But they all have a bunch of different actions that kind of help you fight off the aliens, right? And the reason this is so smart is because you roll your dice, and then you have to allocate all of them one at a time. And the stronger a die, the more powerful the action, right? So you want to see big numbers because that means powerful actions. But when you place a die, you have to place 1 die per column. I believe it's 5 columns. When you place a die, you get to resolve the action at that strength, but then any alien ships in that column move down towards you at the same value that you placed there, right? So it's almost like the aliens get an action of equal strength to whatever action, almost in a stronghold way, right? It's like the invader takes an action.
I was gonna say,
The invader takes an action. Depending how strong it is, it earns a resource of time for the defender that they get to spend. And this basically works the same way, but it's automated, right? And so a lot of it is like trying to figure out where to place these big numbers to be as effective as possible, but to minimize the damage, right? Because if you've ended up with, because the alien ships kind of move around a little bit, and if you end up with like 3 alien ships in the same column, you're like, no way I'm putting a 6 there, right? Because then all those boys are moving down. But if I can slip a 6 into a column that doesn't even have a spaceship right now, that's perfect, right? But then it's like, what are the actions that are actually in that column, and how can I best utilize, right? So it's just super smart, and a decent amount of, like, it's a lot of fun. But like I said, I find it hard to keep coming back to solo only games, and so that's why I don't have it anymore. But it is truly smart. So yeah, that's Under Falling Skies.
Is this on Board Game Arena?
It should be, but I don't know that it is.
It is not. Because having something to like run it for you, so you can just crank out games of this, that'd be pretty fun.
This game would slay on Board Game Arena, honestly, dude.
Let's call him up.
Yeah, man.
Call Jeff or whoever owns this thing, and let's.
You're hearing it right now. You're heard it here first, folks. Under Falling Skies needs to be on BGA. Let's get a petition going.
Quick, tabletop shop team, all 13 of you, go spam Board Game Arena right now.
They're gonna get a bunch of people banned.
Whoops. Well, at least our names weren't attached to it. We're fine. It's the company. Yeah. Okay. Well. I was totally wrong then that Nate would have Castles of Burgundy somewhere on his list. And I'm slightly second guessing my pick for number 1 now. Just a little bit, but I'll explain why. Mine is another Garfield games, and Nate already mentioned it. This is Scholars of the South Tigris. Okay. And the only reason I'm second guessing is because I realized, as you were saying, it's not necessarily the dice, it's the color system
Cody,
that makes it interesting.
Full disclosure, I basically remember 7% of the game, so I could be totally wrong. You know more than I do, but from what I remember, I don't even remember what you do with the dice, but I remember the color system being really smart, and of course it's connected to the dice.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, with that argument, like it still effectively applies because I mean we're just talking about different rules of things you do with the dice, and that's basically what this is. But yeah, you have some dice. Like gotta get my visual up. I was too slow to the punch. Scholars of the South Tigris. So you have some dice. I think you actually have a bag of them that you're collecting. You pull out a few for like each round, and you have a little hand. And these are actions that you are taking in the game. I think there's other ways. All of these South Tigris games start blending together a little bit. I know Scholars is my favorite, but they're all so rules heavy that I forget which of them necessarily has like the little workers, the things that you do. That's right. No. You use workers to modify the dice in this. That's the genius of it. So, I mean, yes, that's what Castles of Burgundy does. You can use workers to increase or decrease the value of your die. In this one, if you're going to place a die to do a given action, there's all sorts of different things you can do with the dice to take actions. If you don't roll a 6, you can use a worker of the same color of that die to turn it into a 6. And obviously, the higher the value, it's going to be a stronger action. But then you can also change the color of the die using another worker of that color. Let's say you have a white die and a yellow worker. You can turn it into a yellow die. This matters because lots of actions actually require specific colors for that action in order to do the cool thing. Where it gets even more interesting, though, is the whole color wheel system. So you don't start off with access to secondary colored dice, like the purple, green, and orange. I think maybe you have a way to claim one early on in the game. It's like a little personal objective. But what's more common is the primary colored dice, so red, yellow, and blue. But what you can do is you can combine two colors to make the secondary color. If you want to take an orange action, you can commit a red and a yellow die together, and they'll count as orange. And, it's limited. It's not like you can take an orange die with a blue or an orange die with like a yellow and then play a yellow-orange. There's only 6 colors total. So maybe lost opportunity. Maybe there's an expansion that like adds all the tertiary colors.
I believe
too.
an expansion came out this year. I don't know what it does, but...
Did it? I really doubt they did that because that'd just be way too convoluted. But I love that. It's a genius little system. You can... There's all sorts of ways you can combine your dice with each other and with workers to like potentially get exactly the combination you need to get a really strong action with the right color. It's just cool. And they even make the secondary dice, so the purple, green, and orange, their values are only 4s, 5s, and 6s. So they're harder dice to get, but they're also always going to be at least a 4 or higher when you roll them, which is kind of cool. And there you go. Another Garfield game. Very mechanic heavy, very crunchy. But I think that's just a really clever way to navigate an action system.
Yeah, I don't besmirch the pick at all. Like I said, I definitely considered it. And I think part of the factor that I didn't pick it was that genuinely I couldn't remember most of how the game. I mean, we basically played Scholars and Inventors back to back, and it was my first time playing both of them.
Oh boy!
So it was pretty brutal.
And playing Inventors second just hurts.
Oh man,
because that is what is Inventors?
It's heavy. It's like 4.3 something. Yeah,
something. Yeah.
For what it's worth,
it's real crunchy. And it's worth a lot. Or moderate amount. Yeah. 4.44. Wow, that's definitely, according to BGG, the heaviest game I've played.
Crazy. There you have it, folks. So that pretty good list. We only had one crossover, so that gives you 9 different titles that are all doing something different with dice to a certain extent, and most of those are pretty fantastic games too, with the exception of maybe Euphoria.
Yeah. Well, and it makes my intro work too, because I was claiming that there's more than 6 ways to roll a die. So if we had like 5 crossovers or 4 crossovers, then we would have exactly 6. So it'd be sad.
And it would also be a boring list. So
it would be a very boring list. Well, and remember, I guess, we're back.
back in the outro. Cody, we are one episode closer to episode 100. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Have we announced that publicly, what we're going to do?
Well, we don't
for episode 100?
100% know what we're going to do, but it's going to be top 100 related, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, we're going to go through our top 100, but as to how we're going to do that, yeah, we'll figure that out. I mean, what's our rate? If we keep doing Gloomhaven every other week at this point,
I think it's a solid
that's
2 to 3 years, somewhere in that range before we'll hit 100.
Okay.
Maybe 3 years.
Well, I mean, I'm willing to commit to a difficult thing that's really far away, right?
I mean, it's not even difficult. We just got to be consistent, man.